Hey guys, it's Ben the Coin Geek at Old Pueblo Coin with an open box video for you of US commems from a customer, all PCGS. It did take a long time to get these coins back. I'm not even sure, we call that 5 months maybe. This was sent in on the slow boat, the economy service, and we had a whole bunch of coins go out. You know, just an old set that the customer had put together a long time ago, and he was looking to get a bunch of coins graded. So we'll start with this Colombian half dollar, and PCGS graded this MS62. The Colombian half dollar is iconic because it's the first year, the first year that the U.S. made a commemorative coin, and so this one's kind of fun. This is actually the second year. This is the 1893. They made them first in 1892. Overall, not a real expensive coin in general. I mean, this coin's probably, $50 to $75. Really a nice coin. It just has that one mark in front of, right in front of Columbus. And, if it's not for that mark, it's definitely a much higher grade coin. So we went through a whole bunch of coins together. He had sent them in, and I went through them and decided, tried to work with him on deciding which coins to get certified and which ones to not get certified. And so it's really always kind of a crapshoot when you send some stuff in. But this is the Monroe Doctrine coin, which is one of my favorite designs. Monroe and Adams there. United States of America, 1923 from San Francisco. Really a flat design, but I always found it to be one of my favorite designs. First, you got the big Los Angeles on there, the Monroe Doctrine Centennial. And here's what's so cool, this design here, if you've never noticed, this is North America with like a peace branch reaching down towards South America, right? And it's just really a cool design. I always thought this was one of the neater designs. And, from the 1920s, it kind of displays that Art Deco look from the 20s. I don't know. I'm not a design major. I don't know if that's the actual term. MS62 from that 1923 S coin, probably a $75 type coin. Not a big spread from 62 to 63. Those ones are pretty tough because they come really, really flat. We move on to 1924. This is called the Huguenot, and there's a whole group of, there's probably still groups today that meet the Huguenot Society. So got that really nice little medal right there in the center of the on the portrait down along the neck that he's wearing. Some fine looking chaps there. Here we go. We've got the boat. I had a customer that only collected boats. I don't mean physical boats. We live in the desert. He bought only bought coins that had boats on them. Founding of New Netherland. Sometimes if you don't look at these really closely, you kind of miss some of the fun details. Huguenot Walloon Tercentenary. That would be 300 years for those of you keeping track at home. MS64, nice coin, nice grade, and something that's probably a $150 type coin. Now, up until now, this is kind of what we were expecting on a lot of the coins: 62s, 3s, 4s, and I'm not going to say the wheels came off, but next we run into this Lynchburg coin, which sometimes people think that's like Lyndon Baines Johnson on there. It is not. One of the more intriguing fonts, shall we say? I think I'll use the term font. I really like what they did there with the "In God We Trust." I think that's a cool font. Charter glass, and of course the reverse design. Just kind of a nice flowing design. I mean, I don't know if she's supposed to look like she's dancing. But she does. Lynchburg, Virginia, sesquicentennial. Easy for you to say. And once again, sometimes the details are what's really cool on these coins. And you can get enamored with simple things sometimes. So this coin they called Unk Details Cleaned. It's really interesting because it doesn't really have any cleaning lines. In fact, the coin itself is a little bit flat looking. And I would say that if anything, I think if you sent this coin in for restoration, some of that dullness would be removed and you'd have original luster. This coin, you got to see a lot of these coins to understand, but that coin comes with some really interesting luster to it anyways. All right, next up we are moving to Columbia, South Carolina. We have Justice, who is not blind here, but has the sword. This is the Denver Mint. There's the D right in the center, 1936. A couple of the buildings there. Here we have another sesquicentennial. I can't believe these guys spelled that right every time. I wonder how many times they had to re-engrave it because they misspelled sesquicentennial. Celebration of the Charter of Columbia, South Carolina. And the really cool looking palm tree, of course. For those of you who collect banknotes, you'll be familiar with this. This coin also has just a little bit of a haze to it. And there's a part of me that wonders out loud now if it wouldn't hurt to have some restoration. They did call this Unk Details Cleaned also. So both of these last two coins, neither of them have hairlines. You know, I looked at them again after they came back. They don't really have, you know, polish marks. They're both a little subdued. I am curious on those two. Well, we'll get to some more stuff here in just a second that's going to be maybe less curious. So, you know, and I'll skip to the chase on this. This is a Stone Mountain. Really interesting design. You know, one of the things here is that has the fields have a overall kind of rippled effect to them on this coin. You know, you have the stars that are just kind of scattered there, just floating, and then there's that ripply effect to the rest of the field. And then there's the eagle. So Unk Details Cleaned. So on this coin, you do have right as I'm turning the coin in the light, we'll get it here so you can see it. You will start to see. So when you see here, these are these kind of pools of luster. The luster turns as the coin turns. Now draw your eye up here and watch the lines that appear up here. See, all of a sudden you see like straight lines right there. That is some type of a cleaning mark, and here they go. I got them going actually straight across here. They are going over the top of the generals right there, and so you can barely see the lines. So there's something to be said for, you know, when you see lines like that. This, at least I have an understanding of interpretation. This one's a little bit hard for me, these two coins. You know, but there's also, I think, something to be said for cabinetware, which we'll talk about in a minute here. I don't know nowadays how people interpret cabinetware because it's so infrequently seen. But cabinetware is basically, coins used to be kept in these little cabinets, and then they had felt lining to them, and as you opened and closed it, the coins would slide, and you'd end up with some slide marks. We got a Washington Carver, 1951. This one's MS64. Washington Carver, there are lots of dates and mint mark combinations. 1951 on this guy, it's a Philly. You know, these coins are generally really inexpensive. You're talking about, you know, even an MS64, probably a $50 coin on kind of the high end there. But we're going to move on because we got another one. We've got a couple more Washington Carvers. Because here you go, this one's the 1952. There's the date on that guy. And the Washington Carver, interesting, you know, it's interesting because you had two coins come out in a similar span of time that had one guy on both coins, and that would be Booker T. Washington. So he's on this, and of course he also has his own coin. So on this coin, and talking just about lines and stuff, you'll see a few of those lines popping up on here also, you know, that you can interpret different ways. So in this one, they called it an AU58. So they didn't say, oh, that's cleaning. They said, oh no, that's a wear line. So, you know, it can be kind of difficult sometimes. How you interpret those lines can kind of vary. There's not just one set way to do it. All right, and here's a 52S. And we got another Washington Carver. Now this is, I want to show you the mint mark position on these guys here. There's the S, almost dotting the I. Also, one of my favorite things about this coin is it has the word Americanism on it, which I find pretty cool. Freedom and opportunity for all. That is Americanism. I should make this into a t-shirt. It's pretty cool. So here you have more of those what appear to be hairlines up on this coin, you know, just right up in there. And you know, on this one, I'm actually going to show you that they called this coin clean. I'm going to do something here verboten, forbidden. I'm just taking a look at the coin again off camera to try to see where those lines are going. You know, because you want to see if the lines are only in the field or if they go over the top of the letters and stop, because sometimes it helps you understand if you have some of those hairlines, or if they're cleaning lines, or if they are actually dye polished. They do start to go over the top. Once again, there's another coin that, you know, you can call several different things. Oh, we did not run out of Washington Carvers yet, did we? 1954. This one's from the San Francisco Mint. You know, and all these coins at a glance look so similar, and you can see how different the grades come back. MS64. This one doesn't have any of the hairlines to it. You know, and that is, these are really minor things on a coin that can determine the outcome of the grade quite a bit. We're going to move on to another Colombian. This one's the 1892. This is the first one made. And once again, our friend who collected boats, he would have collected this coin. He bought U.S. coins and world coins. So he bought a lot of different stuff. Unk details cleaned. You know, the other coins, it was pretty easy for me to spot some of those little fine hairlines. And like I said, sometimes you could call that. Well, I'm just intrigued on some of the ones where they called it cleaned instead of just calling it an MS62, because those type of hairlines are so minor, and they're not cleaning. To me, a cleaning mark is usually something that someone uses to just go over the whole surface of the coin. When you get a real small area and it's super fine hairlines, oftentimes, I mean, traditionally you would call something, you know, you would neck grade it. That coin, that's a nice coin. That one is a little bit on the baffling side. Next up, the Pilgrim. This coin they made for 2 years. A little bit of a carbon spot there under the "In God We Trust." Just, I always thought this was a pretty cool looking design there. The Pilgrim. And more boats, folks. Now, those of you who weren't thinking about it, now you know you can collect your boats, all your boats. So this is 1920. The 1921 would have the date on it, a second date on it. It would still say 1920, and then it said 1921 on the front. MS62, overall, kind of a nice looking coin. Inexpensive. That's about a $100 coin, maybe a little bit less. But a lot of this stuff was, you know, just kind of that inexpensive range. Here we go with another Stone Mountain, and you know, interesting. I just want to point out, kind of similar. You start to see a couple of these little hairlines pop up here. Just really minor. They're coming right there through the field. They're right in the center of the screen right now, right? And so the other thing to mention is, by the way, those slide marks. I'm calling them slide marks now because also if they're in a Dansko album and you're moving that window back and forth, that plastic will actually leave slide marks, little marks on the coin, and that's not uncommon. I know people like the Dansko albums. I like them too, but if there's a lot of opening and closing of those windows, it can cause problems. MS63, nice looking coin. Once again, you know, I'm pointing out those little lines because at what point do they become a detriment? At what point do they not? And that's just kind of that tough judgment call. That's another $100 type coin. Next up, we're to one of the coins that is just about everyone's favorite, the Oregon Trail, with just such a wonderful, big, bold design to it, with the Native American Indian on the front. And then, of course, you have the outline of the United States. And one of the cool things then is, of course, you may not notice, but there are the little wagons moving up into Oregon. It's kind of in the background there. That's something that oftentimes gets lost. This coin is just a handsome, bold design, and the way that the dies were made, just the luster on these coins is really cool when you get a nice original coin. And of course, there's a close-up of your wagon train and the land has these wrinkles to it. This one's 1934. They made a lot of different years on these. For those of you who collect them by date and mint mark, that's just kind of can be a challenging thing. And then on these guys here, see, there's the mint mark. The date mint mark are on different sides on this coin. So there's the D right there next to the half, right by the Indian's feet. So MS65, nice coin, good grade for my customer. I know you're thinking it's about time, but like I said, most of these coins we thought were going to be in the lower mint state. That one's probably a $200 plus coin. We got one more of the same here, and by more of the same, different date. Another Denver mint. Another really beautiful example of a coin, very much so problem-free and original. Doesn't have any dullness to it, any lines to it, just a nice bright look, a nice original minty look there. This one PCGS called MS66, and so we got a couple of nice little Oregon trails. That's about a $300 coin. All right, next up, Maryland. Here's another coin that has really an interesting look to it because that field has that same little watery rippley effect to it. If you look at the field to the left here, between the portrait and the United, the word United, you'll just see how that field is not flat. It just kind of has this nice kind of just ripply effect to it. I find that to be really pleasing. Cecil Calvert, for all of you out there, the big Cecil fans. The only Cecil I know is Chuck Cecil, but that's okay. All right, Maryland Tercen. I'm done trying to pronounce Tercentenary. I had it once. I practiced like all night, and I got it right once. After that, I'm done. Of course, it's got the coat of arms, 1634 to 1934. The OG Maryland in the house, MS66. That coin is also a nice coin, nice grade. I'm running out of places to put coins. They're just going to keep getting closer to my camera until I run into the screen here. And that Maryland's probably a $250 coin. Well, and just when we're getting optimistic, we can come back down to earth because here's this Boone, which for all of us who like doing really random, nerdy, dorky stuff, the Daniel Boone coin, one of the only coins that has the same character on both sides of the coin, because he is on both sides of the coin here. 1934, they also made these several years. Unk details cleaned. Dost thou protest? The other ones on the other coins, the ones they called clean, that there weren't really hairlines. They had a really dull look to them. Like maybe you're arguing that the coins have been dipped, and then you have the ones with hairlines. This coin here is pretty nice and pretty original. That one I have a much harder time kind of accepting what they're saying as far as the originality goes, because we move on to this 1936 Boone, and very, very pleasing, overall pleasing coin. A lot brighter than the other one. Just a very pretty coin here. This one is an MS65. The Boones, this is probably $150+ coin. One of the things that's fun, by the way, about these coins, there's like his place in the background there. One of the things that's fun about the early commems, you'll notice a pattern. Of course, these were all sent in on the inexpensive submission, is that there's actually a lot of different commems you can buy that are less than $200, and it's kind of a fun series to collect because of that. All right, now challenging for the ugliest coin ever. Oh man, I just went there. All right, the Rhode Island. Now it's not that the Rhode Island design is ugly, but when I was talking before about just how much the Maryland has this nice three-dimensional rippled effect, the Rhode Island is the opposite. The Rhode Island is one of the flattest coins ever produced. It's just a low relief coin. And it's not like it's a terrible design. Maybe it is. In the 1930s, maybe they just didn't have the same level of design. But they've got a Pilgrim on there too. Everyone's bringing out the Pilgrims. They got the, they got the iconic anchor. And here we go with another coin that they're going to call cleaned. That also I find to be quite original. Like I said before, we got a couple coins on there where I can find some very minor hairline action, and then you got that. A couple more to show you here, and then we'll wrap it up for the day. This is the Cleveland, and with Moses Cleveland on the front, sometimes historically called the Great Lakes, because it was put out at the Great Lakes Exposition. There it says up here, whoops, Great Lakes Exposition. So hats off to anyone who can use a protractor. Is that what that's called? Here, I'm not a lot of things. Cleveland Centennial, and kind of an interesting design. This one they called it MS62. Also, like a lot of the coins we thought would come back in that lower mint state range, and this is no exception. Not a big spread on these guys. A 63 is probably only lists for $20 more than a 62. This is probably about a $100 type coin. And we're going to finish up on a bang, because here is the Iowa Statehood Centennial coin, 1846 to 1946. One of the later date commems. I mean, you get into some of those Booker T. Washingtons and Washington Carvers, you're getting into the 50s. But, lots of times you think of commems as being from like the 20s and 30s. All of a sudden, here you are, post-war, 46. Nice building design, of course, here with the old stone capitol in Iowa City. And one of my favorite things about the design is that once again you get this little effect of the clouds right there behind the Capitol. In God We Trust, nice original, very, 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 very original coin. And need I say anything else about that? Alright guys, thanks so much for watching. I'm Ben the Coin Geek. You can leave your comments down below. And if you want to watch more videos, you can watch them on the right side of the screen. Thanks.